Weslee.
And I'm Bailey.
And this is Weslee Weighs In, and we are back.
Again.
Back in the saddle again, right? So we're just kind of lay it all out there. We've been on a hiatus for a while. You haven't seen or heard from us. Maybe you've seen what we've been up to, but the podcast has kind of been MIA for a little while. So we'll get into that. I'll explain why, what we've been up to, kind of where we're going, what the plan is, new stuff, old stuff, all the in-betweens. So let's get into it. What have we been doing? Where have we been? Where did we go?
Moving has been the biggest thing. We moved houses and we moved, our gym moved locations. And so everything in life just kind of has been chaos and upheaval and trying to get things back in order. And then in addition to selling our house and moving, we also decided it would be a great idea to move and then like immediately tear out the kitchen and renovate the entire thing. So that was a mess. I mean, it looks great. Love how it all came out. Everything's great, but my goodness, it was just a process. It
always is, you know.
Just living through a renovation is no fun. So it's taken us some time to like get the house all together and get our new little podcasting area all set up and together.
Bailey did that. She hooked up the whole mat room, which is where we're at right now. We're on a couch that's sitting right in front of a mat in a room where we train jiu-jitsu, and got the medals all over the walls, got boxing pictures and trophies behind me, the kids' trophies and belts from jiu-jitsu, Bailey's brand new gold European Championship medal.
Yep,
it's up there.
Champion.
Trumping all my loser silvers that I got.
You've got a lot of silvers,
well,
but
why
your
don't you
time
just
is
rub
coming,
it in?
honey. Your time is coming.
That's all right. But yeah, so that's what we've been up to. We moved. I wouldn't call it a job change. It was a loss of job, which that's why we decided to move. It just downsized, and we really just moved right down the street. We're not really any farther than we were before.
And we're actually closer to our gym's new location because our gym moved at the same time that we were moving houses.
Our gym moved and rebranded. So I'll kind of jump into that. Our gym was in kind of like a warehouse, and it was kind of like in this back street off of another random street in Keller, and it was hard to find, didn't have great visibility. So I think that was the big driving factor, is a place they wanted that was more visible, obviously. And I think back whenever they first got that location, that was kind of a more popular aesthetic, I guess. Would you say aesthetic, or is like location type?
It was very common that a jiu-jitsu gym would be in like a warehouse. So that was normal, but now like storefront is what everybody wants. Something that's nice and visible and that people just drive by and see it. And unfortunately, we heard lots of stories as they were making that decision of people who literally couldn't find the location and then found somewhere else, and they were like, oh, we'll just try there instead. And or even would like show up and say, oh, we're here, is this you? And Tracy's like, no, that's not us. And they're like, oh, well, we're here already, so we'll come try y'all next week. And then they don't, because they've already found somewhere else. And there's just literally losing business and potential members because they just couldn't find us. So
now we moved to a very storefront location, and it is right, if you know where Central High School is in Keller, it is right across the street from Central High School where the old Anytime Fitness used to be. Awesome location, big space, 2 showers, 3 restrooms, office, playroom, big TV, LED lights, like, man, the works. It's still undergoing, I wouldn't call it construction, but still building it out and finishing touches on it and stuff like that, Tracy and Roberto have done an awesome job. We've helped with whatever we can, but it is awesome, and we're already getting tons of new people coming in, which is, we already had, big classes for a gym that was almost practically hidden, you know what I mean? So it's only, what's the word? obvious that if with a gym that's
Yeah.
hidden and doing well, and then you put them right in front of a bunch of people, it's going to do even better. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. But what else we've been up to? So we also just recently, this kind of fast forwarding quite a bit, but we recently got back from Europeans, right? That was kind of talk about how did that trip come to be? Do you remember?
I don't remember
'Cause it
if
wasn't
we
my
talked
idea.
about it.
It's never my idea. That's why she's the motivator. I go along with it. If she's going to compete in it, I'll compete in it.
I don't remember if we talked. So we did a whole recap when we went to Master Worlds and Jiu-Jitsu Con last year, where we did a bunch of interviews and things like that. And I don't remember if we mentioned it on there or not, but that was Weslee's big, like he'd been working towards Master Worlds last year. Like that was his big tournament, his
For a
big
year,
goal for that
yeah.
year. I just kind of went because I was like, I'm going to be there anyway, so I might as well compete. And I left being like, man, I lost in the quarterfinals, so I lost in the last match that I would have needed to win to medal. But I was dealing with a lot of like, I don't know, confidence issues, like just lack of clarity in where I was heading in my game and my own strategy. And I finished that tournament and just felt like it just lit a fire under me. And I felt like I can do this. And I felt like I left with a lot of clarity for what I needed to do to get where I want to be. And so decided pretty much immediately, like Master Worlds this year. That's the goal. That's what we're working towards. And in doing that, I started getting curious about other majors. Like, how hard would it be for us to go to some of these other majors in preparation and to get our seeding up for Master Worlds? And so it was while we were still in Vegas, I started just looking up costs for flights. It was like, how much would it cost to fly
Yeah, that's
to
right. It wasn't
Asia?
even in Vegas. I thought it was on the plane right back.
I think you're right. I think
Yeah.
it was on the plane. I was just like, how much would it cost? Because that's the big thing, right? Is traveling there. It's not about competing in it. It's about how much is it going to cost to get to wherever. And it was like looking up how much would it cost to get to Brazilian Nationals. I was like, well, that's not going to be a cheap flight. And I looked up Europeans, and the flights were just really affordable. And I was like, hey, we could actually get to Europeans for a pretty reasonable price. Should we do Euros next year? And
That was actually when you had a paycheck coming in, so
no,
not yet.
I didn't. I already did not have a paycheck.
So it was just a really poor
It was
financial
just a bad
decision.
decision.
All right. Well, I thought you still had a paycheck coming in.
No,
then,
I don't
so
think I
might have
did.
said no back
If
then.
I did, I was gonna lose it in the next like 30 days. I guess Master Worlds was over my birthday weekend. I was getting paid through September, so I guess I did have a little bit of a paycheck coming in still. Yeah, and so we just kind of on a whim. I'm like, should we do Euros next year? And you're like, I mean,
that's
sure.
that was kind of daunting for me because look, it wasn't set in stone in my eyes that I was getting purple belt, but I did just win silver at Worlds at blue belt, so I knew I'd be
knew
getting
you were
it.
getting
Yes,
purple.
but I'm not.
We
I
all
still
knew.
stop. Anyways, I don't just ever assume I'm getting anything. And I'm like, man, that means I'll be purple belt, and that's Europeans, and
And it was pretty quick.
I'm kind of, I almost say bad about it, but I just think I'm strategic about it. I don't like to just normally, but I've gotten a lot better at it, and just saying, you know what, bet on myself and trust my skill. But I like to have let me get some competitions under my belt. I think that's kind of smart anyways,
Yeah.
you look at a lot of sports, most especially combat sports, people get their feet wet, whether it's turning pro. They don't just go out there and fight at the highest level right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't say it doesn't happen. It does happen, but you have to really trust in your skill. And so I was kind of like, man, I don't know.
Well,
So,
and that's what I mean. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of time in between because we knew. I don't think the official, or maybe the dates were out, but not like the pre-schedule. So we could, because that's one thing, and we'll probably talk about it in a minute about Euros. Is it's over like 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that. It's a very long period of time. So we really didn't want to buy flights until we knew roughly what days we were actually going to be fighting. So I don't think the schedule was out, but we knew it was going to be in January. And I mean, Master Worlds happened my birthday weekend. So it was like August 28th and through the 30th that we were there. So, I mean, we're talking 5 months. That's a pretty quick turnaround. Like you were going to be a very fresh purple belt at that point.
Yeah, but not only that, like let's fast forward to when we actually went. I think I was dealing with an injury. I was dealing with an injury back then. I'm dealing with a new injury now. But I don't remember. It was keeping me from competing. And there was also another tournament that I had signed up for. There was nobody in my weight class. I didn't fight. So eventually I drove out to Oklahoma, said I need to get a fight in at purple belt before I go out there and just sign up and like fight at Europeans, you know. I hadn't had a fight yet. I did an AGF, drove out to Oklahoma with just me and the kids, no coaches, no you.
Forgot that was in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and the kids did great. I ended up winning both fights by submission. So that right there gave me a ton of confidence. I mean, with that, I was like, okay, I can go into this tournament feeling confident. Like,
I probably hadn't even bought tickets yet at that point either. So it was still kind of like up in the air.
But again, I still felt like I don't know what to expect because, you know, IBJJF is normally a different level of competitor. But anyways, yeah, I was just betting on myself and saying, you know what, I don't have no giant expectations other than I'm going to go out there and give it my best. And it's, you know, how the bracket lays out, how the bracket laid out.
Yeah.
You fought the day, so before I get to my day when I fought, I would talk about what happened with you. Let's talk about how we kind of game planned your fight. That was pretty cool, right? A lot of people don't watch their opponents. Me and Bailey, we are pretty much stalkers. So if you're in my bracket, I'm watching you.
I'm a stalker. If I've seen you somewhere, you know, and I stalk everyone. You know, I don't discriminate. Right. If I've seen you in an open mat, I've probably gone and stalked you afterwards. Sometimes if it's like an open mat or whatever, I'll probably friend you.
Y'all stop playing. I know y'all stalk all of us too. I see all y'all on my story feed.
See?
All right, and y'all don't even ever talk to me outside Instagram. Don't talk to me at all, but I see you looking at all my stories.
I wouldn't know if somebody was stalking me because I don't do that. Weslee like really looks at who he makes it a point to look and see like who is watching his stories.
I mean, I just click on it. I don't care that much.
I know, but like I don't even think to do that. Like I forget that that's even a thing, and I don't look at it. So I wouldn't even know if somebody was stalking me. But all that's to say, if it's like an open mat or whatever, I'm stalking you because I want to be friends, right? Let's just build this community together. But if you're my opponent, I'm stalking you to
break your leg.
I want to see how good you are, and I want to see what your game is like, and I want to strategize a little bit. And now anybody who's ever fighting me in the future is going to set their profiles to private if they listen to this.
Yeah. No, they won't. We only got like 5 viewers, so I'm not worried about that.
There you go. See, so we don't have to worry about it. So yeah, I had gone and looked at who I could find. I will say I couldn't find a whole lot about the people that I was fighting. And that happens a lot. I try really hard.
About Olga? You couldn't find much about Olga?
Olga?
I said she looked like an Olga. I mean, she was huge. She was like super broad-shouldered. The girl from Ukraine. She wasn't an Olga, but she looked like Olga. If I could look at I'm like, dang, that girl's like not heavy. She was broad. I'm like, how is she in this weight class? She was really tall. She was as tall as Bailey.
I thought we were the same size, but Weslee
second place
that we
podium.
were not, that she was taller than me. I don't know.
Oh, she was taller than me. And her shoulders were like the width of a linebacker's shoulders.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's my linebacker noise.
Man, it was bad. Shout out to the Super Bowl today.
Super
we ain't
Bowl.
watching right now.
Somebody wished me at church earlier. They went, "Happy Super Bowl," like it was a holiday or something.
I mean, I'm usually down with
Super Bowl, everybody.
Yeah, I'm usually down with Super Bowl, but I haven't watched zero football this year.
It just made me laugh that they said it like it was a like Merry Christmas, Happy Super Bowl. Anyways, what was I talking about?
About Olga. And how we
what if she listens to this, Weslee?
She probably wouldn't be able to understand it. She speaks Ukrainian.
That's true. She doesn't.
Or whatever.
I don't think she speaks English.
Is that offensive? Ukrainian? Is that a language?
Is that a subject? I mean, a language.
I don't know.
It's not a subject. Okay, we'll just move on.
My favorite boxer
it's not English.
Ukraine. So, anyways,
Lomachenko.
Yeah.
I almost said Triple G.
No, he's
Where's
not
he
there.
from?
Oh man, Gennady Golovkin's from.
Gennady Golovkin.
Oh, he's from Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
I love to listen to him speak English.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right, I digress.
Okay.
Back to Olga.
Yeah. So hers. I picked out pretty quick. She was going to be a tough fight.
Why?
Why did I think
Because
that?
she has fought all of her fights in the adult division. She
that's true.
has several wins, and she's been a blue belt for a really long time. Like,
Yes, longer
not
than
just
me.
several wins, I mean, but like notable wins at blue belt
and quick wins too. A lot of like she had just done the Polish something championships. I don't know. I don't think it was IBJJF. It was something else. But I mean, like won all of her matches in subs, and most of them within the first minute. So I knew it was going to be a tough match. Oh, and also interesting because she's very much a guard player, which is not super common in my division. I typically fight in the heavyweight division. And so you just don't see that a whole lot.
I feel like you do in the adult division more, but
maybe.
I don't feel like you see it in the Masters as much.
You don't see it. A lot of standing.
That's
a lot
probably
of people,
why she played more guard, is because she came like from adult to
maybe.
more athletic in the adult division typically, but
Maybe. So yeah, she was a guard player, and but she loves ankle locks. We learned that pretty quickly.
This is the problem with having one game and being able to have your opponent having the ability to search your fights. You have one game, it's very easy to prepare for a person that has one game. And her game was essentially pull, hit a tripod sweep essentially, elevate in some form, looking for X guard or single leg X, and ankle lock. I mean, that's like how she finished the two opponents. She went to the open class after she fought you because she made third or second?
Yeah, of course, I ended up, so rewinding just a little bit, we've done a few IBJJFs leading up to this because I was trying to get up my seeding points, and it worked in my favor because I got a bye for my first fight, and so I ended up fighting her first in the semifinals. And I was very prepared for it. I mean, there's a part in my footage that makes me laugh because she likes to go for the right ankle, and I had like my right foot in my stance just right out the gate. My right foot's in front, and I stepped it back just to try and like.
But let's talk about that too. You didn't just do that out of instinct.
No, that's what I'm saying. We did that on purpose because I knew she was going to be going for that ankle, and so I kind of switched up my normal fighting stance because I wanted to make it more difficult for her to get to that ankle. And then when she pulled guard,
she missed it. I think she missed the ankle. Yeah.
Well, and you can see in the footage where she's like reaching for my ankle, but I was like doing everything I could to keep that away.
I'll take a little bit of coaching prop for that. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We were in the hotel, and I watched her fights, and I kind of put I'm not taking any much credit. I'm not really taking any credit, but some ideas that I had to help beat her that I thought would work well. And then in the hotel room on the bed, I'm over here and I have Bailey in X guard trying to do the exact same thing that she was doing. We're like drilling because there's no room in the hotel room. So we're on the bed like drilling, trying to like get this ankle lock, and she's drilling escapes, and sure enough, I mean, it's exactly what happened. And she ended up, you passed her guard, right? You ended up passing her guard.
I passed her guard with the pancake flip, which I was proud of myself for that. Not because it's anything super special, but because I don't usually do it. I don't train it.
We call it the pancake flip. There's probably a million other names for it that people call it. But what was it, like a cross pant grip? And then you had the collar, and you flip up, you pick them up.
Sleeve.
Oh, you had the sleeve.
The sleeve and the pant. Yeah. And then you literally just like
flip
them up and yeah, so I passed her with that, and then that was pretty much it. I ended up back in her closed guard at one point, and I was pretty much there until the end of the match, which is fine. So I beat her on points. But yeah, that was an interesting match where just the preparation really came in handy. And then my finals, I fought a super sweet girl from England. Her name's Rachel. She's my Instagram friend now. So, but yeah, she was super sweet. She wished me luck when I went out to fight in my first fight before I knew that she was in my division and that I was going to end up fighting her in the finals.
She probably was like, I don't want to fight that older girl. Like, yeah, good luck. Hope you win. So
good luck. She's like, good luck. And she was so nice. And so yeah, she was really, really sweet. I ended up beating her in the finals. But yeah, it was a good experience. And then I won my first major and then I cried.
And I cried too because I was jealous.
You didn't cry.
Just kidding.
I did.
Out of
I
jealousy.
really did cry though.
Yeah, no, she did cry.
I cried immediately. I just couldn't believe it.
Now.
No, I'm not gonna.
Then the next day came, and this is the first time actually, kind of rewind a little bit, that I was a little more apprehensive than normal to look at my opponents. But once I did, I was so glad I did. There was a couple I couldn't find, but I was glad that I did because I could see like what their game was, what their plan was, based off what they do most of their matches. I could kind of game it a little bit. First match, close match, but I ended up winning, obviously, and then...
Which timeout, to Weslee's point, too, about... so he was a 4-month purple belt at this point. Purple for 4 months. He'd done 1 AGF, but that was it, which means he had 0 seeding points. Because, for those who don't know, IBJJF seeding points only count for your age and belt level. If you fight in a different weight class, that still counts. But if you move up a belt level, you're back at 0. You're starting from scratch. So he had 0 seeding points, and ended up he and the guy he fought were the only ones who didn't get a bye for the first round either. There was supposed to be 2 other guys in your bracket that were supposed to fight, and one no-showed, and so that guy ended up getting a bye. He was the only one.
So everybody in my division had to fight one less time than I did. And I will say, I mean, there's no excuse at all, but the guy that I fought last you could tell there was more gas in his tank. But he was sharp. That's just all there was to it. I mean, and also I think he had a plan. He probably did the same thing. He saw me pulling and he's like, dude, he hit a cross grip. He got the cross grip on the pants and man, he passed and expected me to high step like over to recover and just turn the opposite direction and duck under. It was so frustrating, but I ended up recovering. He passed my guard. He got the mount, and then golly, annoying. Just thinking about
just saying it,
and then it. I rolled, got him. I escaped mount and got top. And then once I was in, we stood up together, and I decided to pull guard again, and take bottom position. Hindsight's 2020. I didn't know. I should have thought about strategically what he was probably going to do. In the moment, it's hard to think about that. But he just literally stalled the entire time. And if you just straight up, and he was really short and stocky. So that means in my division, if you're short, you're really strong. So he was stacked. He was really, really strong. That's one thing. That's the first thing I noticed as soon as the match started, he was in my side control, or he had me in side control. He was incredibly, incredibly strong. It was like being held down by a boulder on top of me. But anyway, so I was shooting lasso. I spun underneath once from lasso to triangle. I mean, he's just like balled up and just no stalling points. I mean, he wasn't trying to pass at all. Yeah. He was just keeping his balance. And he was like
well, and it wouldn't have mattered if he had a penalty anyway, because he was up on points.
Yeah, it was 7-0?
Yeah, give me all the penalties. What difference does it make,
But I guess hindsight, in that moment, whenever I pulled, I could have maybe looked for the takedown. But I'm plenty confident in my takedowns, but I'm even more confident in my guard. So I thought I'd be able to create an opportunity. But it's like if he was using offense, I could have found an opening for sure.
But he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I ended up in the same
most
boat.
People some people don't even think about that. They don't like. He was definitely experienced, and he didn't have any seeding points or anything, but like he's competed for sure. I could not find him anywhere though, because his gym is he's from France.
Yeah.
And over there, like it's like he's from a gym that's like a chain of gyms that I never heard of.
Oh, yeah.
So I couldn't find his gym
there's
anywhere.
Like a million of them, and
Because after he beat me, I'm like, man, this guy is good. He's not like everyone else I fought, like he had a physical advantage over all of them.
Yeah.
Like he was stronger, faster, more athletic, smarter, better fight IQ than anybody of the other guys I fought. And I won't say I underestimated him, because over there in the bullpen, I'm like, man, I'm everything on me. I'm because I feel like one thing that was against me when we were at Worlds, whenever I was going to have a rematch with the guy that beat me at Pans, I think that I was too confident in my close. Like I was like just too confident. If I get to close guard, I'm gonna beat him. Like I got him. And so when I got to close guard, I wasn't aggressive enough with my attacks, because I was with everybody else. It was easier, and I should have, same thing. But I wasn't like that here. I was 100% all effort in. I was telling myself, there ain't no way you're losing. You're going out there. We got to come home with double gold. That'd be like the story of the century.
I know.
And then I blew it.
Sorry.
Not a single point on the board, but yeah. So, but at least I can, hang my hat on some other very cool things. As purple belt for a very short period of time. Took out the number 2 seed in the division.
There you go.
I don't know what I'm ranked now, IBJJF, but.
And you're married to the European champion.
And I sleep on the couch now. I'm the one. Mm-hmm. I put
He's
the pants out.
He's not worthy of being in the bed.
She wears them. I put them out. Mm-hmm. Just kidding.
No, you did so well. I was so proud of you, and I know I am not in any way like disappointed in you for not winning gold. I was disappointed for you because I knew this was my first medal at a major, my second major that I've competed at. But this was your third silver, and I was like, oh, I know that has to bug you, but I'm so proud of how well you did, especially considering just the caliber of everybody and how short what a short time you've been.
I'm also at the top of the age group too. You know what I mean? You got guys.
Yeah, so he's real old.
So you got guys that like have been in the adult division through blue belt, white belt, maybe even some at purple, and they just turned 30.
Yep.
And now they're in my division.
They're out here fighting with old man Weslee.
Yeah, no, I'm not that. Clearly not that old. Just feel old.
Hair matches a silver medal.
Wow, what a hater.
I'm kidding.
So funny. That was as funny as a burnt out light bulb. Anyway, so
the worst joke.
It's not.
He loves it.
So then let's see here. Then we went and really celebrated. Went to an awesome restaurant. The food in Portugal, man, golly, like blows. America's food, it's different, but like all the just food that's bad for you here, even some of the food that's not bad for you technically, just the ingredients over there are just so much more fresh. And it's everything's like walking down an alley that's beautiful. Not like a weird sketchy alley or anything, but beautiful roads, floors, tile, and then you have all these little small shops. They're not really shops; they're restaurants. Like you can't even find a shop that's like different than anything. Like all the shops are exactly the same, and it's like it's all just what's the word?
Souvenir shops.
Souvenir shops, really tiny,
many souvenir
right
shops.
Across from each other, selling the exact same stuff. It's
all
very,
right
very
next
weird.
to each other. There'd be like one here, and then one next door, and then one catty corner across the street, and it's like, do y'all know you're all selling the exact same products? I don't understand. It was very strange.
But the food, amazing, and like what you see in the movies when you're like at a cafe or some type of restaurant, you can oversee the hills, and it just looks like Italy, right? That's what it's like, and it was
so pretty,
so cool. Not some of the prettiest views I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
oh my gosh.
so
yeah.
good.
We
all the espresso, right?
Yes, espresso. Oh yeah. We learned that that they don't have like drip coffee there, which we learned whenever Weslee went into a coffee shop and asked for regular coffee, and they tried to give him espresso, and he's like, no, just regular coffee.
Yeah.
And they were very confused, and we looked very American, and we learned that that's not a thing.
And that's probably why they call it the Americano, because the Americano is the most similar to American coffee. So I would imagine that's probably where it comes from.
Oh, the views. Okay, so we went one day. So The day before I fought, we went to Cascais, which is like a little beach town, close to, not far. It was like a 40-minute train ride from Lisbon, where we were staying. And so that was super fun, just a different kind of vibe. And then the day after Weslee fought, we went to Sintra and we got to go see the castles. And it was so exciting. And Pena Palace was, we had to squeeze as much like sightseeing and experiences into a short period of time, because we were only there for like 5 days, and 2 of those days we were fighting, and one of those days was like half a travel day. So we only had 2 full days that we could just do whatever. And one of them was before we fought, so we couldn't like eat a lot of food or whatever. So that last day we picked 2 of the castles to go tour. And Pena Palace, the views from Pena Palace are
remarkable.
Oh my gosh, the most incredible thing I have ever seen. And there are great views from other, like we also went to I'm going to say it wrong, Quinta del Rejoleria.
That's what it was. That's how all the locals pronounced it.
Quinta de Rejoleria. Yep. Something like that.
Another offensive moment.
I'm sorry. But that was a really cool castle. And there were great views. But we were there and I'm like, oh my God, literally nothing could possibly compare to the views from Pena Palace. They were absolutely incredible. A must do if you go to Lisbon for any reason. Go to Sintra, go to Pena Palace. It was incredible. But yeah, we had a really, really fun time. Oh, lots of pastel de natas, which is...
Not so much for me.
Well, so much for me.
They're kind of mid.
They're little custard tarts, and they are like the traditional Portuguese dessert, like in Lisbon. And you can get them everywhere.
Dessert as much as it is like
it's a dessert.
Like a bakery item.
Either way. It's like if you go to a bakery and you get a cookie or a key lime pie or whatever. So yeah, I had a whole bunch of those, and then I actually brought a bunch back with me and brought them up to the gym, and the reviews were very good. I think Tracy ate 4 of them. But yeah. So it was an awesome trip. We tried to squeeze in as much like sightseeing and experiences as we could, and obviously came back with some medals from Euros, and it was absolutely incredible.
If there's one word I could say I took away from Portugal, it would be obrigado.
Obrigado.
Yeah, said that a whole bunch.
Yeah, several people asked us about like the language barrier. I will say that I mentioned that to Weslee probably the first evening we were there. I'm like, this is weird. It's like the first, like we've been out of the country, but it's usually with like we know someone or we're with a local or somebody who can translate or, knows the customs and like what's normal. This was the first time we were on our own in another country and like didn't speak the language, had no idea what we were doing, trying to like navigate it by ourselves. Thankfully, a lot of people speak English, and like a lot of the signs have it in like Portuguese and in English. So they make it, so you can get around and do what you need to do if you don't speak the language. But it was definitely...
There was a little bit of a language barrier.
There was definitely a little bit of...
Like, and other things barrier. Too, culturally that are different.
Yes.
That were hard to manage, or I don't know how to explain it, but I just didn't acclimate the best. Maybe over time I would have, but the number one thing is like asking one for like when you're ready to order, you have to like wave them over because they don't just come and check.
Well, and
also for a check, your paycheck.
And when you ordered, they seemed to want you to order everything that you were going to order, except maybe dessert. Like right then. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take your drink order and then I'm going to take your appetizer. Like they would come to take your order and it'd be like, this is what we want to drink. And they're like waiting, like, and what about to eat? Like they want everything, and we were not prepared
also
for
very
that.
common to whatever meal you're eating. breakfast, lunch, or dinner, right after your meal, drink an espresso.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. They'll
They give you a little tiny little sugar packet with these little espresso cups. And I drink a lot of espresso.
Yeah. And we learned they're not going to ask you if you want the bill or just bring it to you. You have to like flag someone down. Because I think that first night was probably the weirdest because we had just flown in and we were tired, but we needed dinner and we just walked around forever until we found somewhere that we decided to eat. And we went in, we ordered coffee. Well, you ordered a coffee.
I wasn't trying to order a coffee.
You weren't. No, the first time you were. You asked for a coffee and I just asked for a water. And then we both got coffees and they were both espressos. And we were kind of confused, but we were like, oh, these little cups are so cute. And then we ordered our food and then we waited around for forever. Like, are they going to bring us the check? What is happening? And then we had to look up how to ask for the check in Portuguese because they didn't speak a lot of English clearly. We were having to like actually try and figure out how to communicate with them. And you thought you asked for the check at one point, and they brought us another coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like, did you mean to order that? He's like, nope, that is not what I meant to order. So we actually ordered one coffee, but we ended up with 3 by the end.
You also don't
evening.
tip near as much. They said that based off what I read, that tipping is more like, it's just like,
yeah, it's a genuine, just like,
yeah,
thank
2
you.
or 3 little euros.
Tipping
like that.
is so like culturally whatever here in the States. Oh, one of the best things that we discovered, Ubers in Portugal are so freaking cheap. Wild. Like, because obviously we didn't have any transportation. And so we'd been like taking the metro and taking trains and whatever. And one day it was raining on the way to the day that I was supposed to fight. So we got off the train and we were going to have to walk. But it was raining. We were like, let's just call an Uber. And so we called an Uber. Every Uber ride was like, I mean, even the ones, we would take like a 40-minute Uber ride. Like that's what we did when we went to Sintra and back to Lisbon again. And I mean, it was like a 40-minute Uber ride that was like $20. All of the ones closer by, they were like $6 Uber rides, which is meaningful to me because when you don't have transportation, like I remember warning people about that for like Pans and when we go to Vegas for Master Worlds, like when you have to get around and you have to Uber, they're so expensive. Like we spent hundreds of dollars on just transportation, getting to and from venues and stuff when you went to Pans. It was ridiculous how expensive everything was. So yeah, we learned pretty quick. We were like, taking the train and whatever. And we were like, Ubers are so cheap. We should just be Ubering everywhere. I had no idea.
Another thing, just side note before we move on from there, that I thought was really interesting. We stopped, our flight stopped in the UK or London, right? Stopped in London on the way to Portugal. And you realize quickly that every like region has a very specific look. And I don't just mean by style. I mean like literal shape of head. Like seriously. Yeah,
okay, we did.
Like
we talked
in London,
about this.
you could see they just look. I'm like, okay, I've seen these.
You're English.
Yeah,
yes.
You just look English. Like what I've seen in movies, like just a school of people walking around. I mean, you're like, you don't realize.
Which is funny because I never would have thought. I've never thought that about like English people. I figured they just, whatever. But we got there and it was very clear like who were the English people and who were traveling through England going places. And then again, that just made us
you
feel
could even
like
tell the
even
difference
more American.
between, like you could see us mudbloods, who are mixed with 100 different regions. You could tell the difference, it was very interesting. Same with when we were in Portugal. That's another thing that's so different from America is like, I mean, obviously, every state, we all speak English, just different accents. But over there, the countries are so close. There's so many different languages all in one country. And I see videos like that on TikTok where guys go around like, I can guess your language. In my mind, I'm like, why is there so many people that he's coming across that he just assumes they speak a different language?
Yeah.
Well, it's because it's in a country where there's just tons of people who speak different languages from all over the world. And So I don't know. It's just that was
I
definitely
remember
very
you
interesting.
saying that at one point. Like, we already don't speak Portuguese, but then people were walking around and you're like, it bugs me that I don't even know what language other people are talking like that. I don't know what language that is, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, the
was such
styles
a
were
cool-
obviously very different and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it made us feel very American. You made that comment at one point. You're like, I'm feeling like my haircut is very American.
Yeah,
like it doesn't
my haircut
align
is the most American thing there. Yeah.
with what we're seeing around.
I'm like, it used to be very probably UK or something, or Irish or something. I don't know.
So funny.
But so yeah, and that was the trip. It was a blast.
It was incredible. We loved it. It makes us want to go back to Europe. Highly recommend. It's actually pretty cheap to fly to Portugal, I guess, depending on time of year. I will say that we need to move off of this topic, I feel like, but we were there in January, so the weather was not too bad. It was like highs in the 50s, lows in the 40s. Sometimes rainy, but because it was off season, I think it's probably so beautiful in the summertime, but we did have the benefit of not having a lot of people. Like some of the places that we went, I've seen, the whole like TikToks about like Instagram versus reality. And it's like, oh, this beautiful picturesque place, but then you actually go and it's just like people everywhere and you can't even like get the full effect of it. That was not our experience. And I think we benefited from being there in the off season, and the weather was not too bad. Chilly. It was cold, but not like miserable. But summer is probably beautiful and more expensive to get there, I would assume.
But yeah, so that was that trip, and then we kind of went past this before the trip. Like I even leading up to it, I wasn't even sure if I was going to be able to compete after I'd signed up because of my injury.
Yeah,
Like,
Weslee
what was
stays
it?
broken.
But it was like it's a pretty like debilitating injury, especially at the time. I'm kind of just dealing with it now, fighting through the pain at this point. But I was at a friend's gym training, just normal, and I think it was open mat period, and I was training nogi, got double legged. I think my arm was trapped, and his weight came down on top of me along with my own weight directly onto my shoulder, and it immediately just crunched loud. And I think even the guy I was rolling with, he heard it because he was like, "You all right?" Because I kind of like stopped. I don't know if he did or not, but he just abruptly stopped, like something was off. I was like, "No, yeah, I think we're good." I was gonna keep rolling. And so we stood up, and whenever I stood up, I went like this.
Ugh.
And my arm, like, it felt very displaced. If you ever broken a bone and you can feel like it like is displaced or moved in your body, like that's what it felt like. It just felt like, I didn't say, yeah, I just talking generally to people.
Okay.
If a person has ever broken a bone and they felt that, that's what it felt like. It just felt very displaced. And went to the doctor. I still don't feel like they've correctly evaluated it yet, because they said grade 1 AC tear, which is like very mild. It should take 4 weeks. It's been almost 4 months now, and it still is injured. Like
Did they take do an MRI?
No, because So I took off 2 straight weeks, like in a sling, literally no training at all for 2 straight weeks. Then I got out of the sling. I took another 2 weeks off completely from no training, and then I started drilling. I wasn't training, but I was drilling for like another 2 or 3 weeks. So all in all, I probably took about 8 weeks off from live, like full-on sparring. Then it got really close to time for Europeans, and I decided I'm going to start just pushing through it, because I have to like get my endurance back up, And so I just start pushing through it, and it hurts really bad. I can't, if I sleep on it at all for any amount of time, I wake up and it just hurts all day long. It shifts in and out a lot now. It pops and clicks, but not like normal. It like shifts out, and sometimes it'll stick, and I gotta like move it, and it'll like reset itself. It's really weird. So I went to the doctor, and they were like, "Well, have you been?" I told them that I was going to be going to Europeans. I said, "I'm going to have to compete in it because I've already paid for it." So okay, well, when you get back, come back and we'll reevaluate it. And they're like, "Have you stopped training? Like, you're supposed to take a break from it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I took like another couple weeks off." And I will come back to us in a month and we'll see. So long story short, they still haven't wanted to MRI it. I don't understand why it's so hard to get an MRI, but so yes.
They've told me before that part of it's an insurance thing.
Yeah, well, it's been long enough for crying out. I did PT for like 4 or 5 weeks, and that did
I can't believe you actually went for that long either.
the first day is like an evaluation. So if you don't go to any more because the first day, they didn't get into the like nuts and bolts of what you're actually doing until like day 2, 3, or 4. But anyways, so all that was in my mind before I even competed too. So, that's why I've been doing 0 takedowns. I can't wait to get my confidence back for takedowns because I want to be able to start throwing again and shooting and stuff like that. But so anyways, yeah, I've been dealing with that. And then back to the gym. We started doing a no-gi class again. And while we were out of town, Tracy hurt her foot and she like tore a ligament or something in her foot. And so she's been out. We were going to switch off and every 2 weeks rotate teaching the no-gi class. So I've been teaching the no-gi class and
I went.
And you've been participating in the no-gi class, which has been awesome.
I am not a no-gi person. No-gi, no good. That's my motto in life and jiu-jitsu.
She's a hater. She's liking it, and it's building her skill. Whether she wants to admit it or not, she has gotten better.
Last week was my first no-gi class ever that I've ever done. I have had to roll no-gi before in a non-no-gi class because somebody made me, but I've never done a no-gi class until last week. That was my first one, and then I did it again this week. So 2 times.
And then she's gonna do it again this Thursday because she only made it to half the class last Thursday, and she should be pretty.
That's true. I was busy. I
think we'll have a pretty good class this week, but that kind of like segues into the next thing I want to talk about, which has been real heavy on my mind. I've actually created an Instagram page that is going to be centered around this. It's one thing I'm really passionate about in general, which it continues to come to light as the gym, Tracy and Roberto have been so generous to give me opportunities to teach, which is coaching. I really love coaching adults and the kids. I want to own my own.
About it.
I want to own my own gym one day. I've always loved teaching, all the way from when I used to skateboard. I would give private lessons for skateboarding, and I always loved being in the coach's corner, coaching my friends if they needed it in boxing. I've always had. It's so weird too because I hate school. I hated school, and I couldn't stand teachers most of the time.
I was gonna say it's funny because
I enjoy. I think what it is, I know how much I love whatever thing I'm in, and like how much joy it brings me. I want to. There's the word I want to pass that on to the person.
Yeah.
And have them experience what I experience.
Yeah, it's interesting
and see them grow. Obviously,
you don't just love teaching in general. It's not like you're the one who's like, I love helping you with your homework or whatever. But it's the things that you love and are really passionate about. You also have a passion for helping others love something the way that you do, and to succeed and excel in something that you're passionate about. And it's really cool to see you. I think I posted something recently about how it's really, really cool to see you operating in that gifting, because I think it is a gift that you have. But even in our giftings, that doesn't mean that there's not room for growth and improvement. And it's been really cool to see you have an opportunity to do what you're gifted at and pour into it so that you are improving and getting better. And it's really, really cool to see you coaching.
Kind of on that same note, like pouring in, what she's kind of referencing is the amount of studying I do. I study obviously for my own benefit and training, but I also study teaching, how to be a great coach, essentially, and through all sports, boxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, what sets the athletes apart from the rest of the athletes, what separates the coaches, and I see what works well, what doesn't work well. And then I kind of apply that in my classes. I make changes, and the big thing right now, and it's not even right now, it's just studies have shown, and this is kind of where I wanted to take this, is CLA, which is the constraint-led approach. That's kind of the way right now a lot of sports are, I wouldn't say 100% going, but definitely they're implementing it in their training.
That's a tool for sure.
Yeah. because it essentially what it is it's instead of teaching like step-by-step instructions, which is when you teach a step-by-step technique, really what you're practicing is memory. You're practicing your knowledge of your ability to remember this whenever it is live. So how good of a memory do you have? That's what you're testing right there. When you do 5 techniques, like especially for someone who's new, good luck remembering each step.
Yeah.
And then when does it ever look perfectly step by step? It's rare. I mean, it can, but it is rare that it looks just like that, because in jiu-jitsu and in any other action sport, that the environment is always constantly changing. So it means you have to adjust to it. And that's how new skills emerge, If anybody has an argument against CLA and thinks it's dumb, then you can just simply ask yourself, how did new techniques become? How did this one technique that was the end-all be-all technique that beat everybody, and then one day there's a counter to it or a completely new meta? It's because someone discovered it in rolling through, essentially doing small eco games, CLA training, in a live roll, where they're good enough to put themselves in that same position with another high level grappler, and then repetitively practice that technique that they're trying to refine. So that's essentially CLA, and I've been using that a lot with the students, and it's shown a ton of improvement. And it takes a lot of preparation to prepare games, and sometimes you don't even want to prepare too many games, because the way CLA works is it's like you go based off what you're seeing on the mat right there.
Yeah.
So I can make one game. I don't have to even make 3 other games for the rest of the night. I see what they're struggling with or doing good at, and I take away tasks or give them tasks, which essentially makes them kind of hone in on the certain skills I'm trying to build out of the group. So I think it's when you're talking efficiency on building skill, it's much faster way to build skill than just traditional drilling.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say before I let you go, but I have nothing against drilling either. Like I just think that the amount of drilling that a lot of like traditionally is done is not as necessary as we think it is. I think more when you drill, you're getting some mechanics down. It's especially if you're doing like speed drills, it's more cardio than anything. And I think that's kind of where it stops. But more than anything for me, and I'm speaking from my personal experience, I think I get mechanics out of it. Especially if you're upside down and inverting. But once you can understand mechanics pretty quick. You don't have to drill the same, pass, for 20 minutes for you to understand, like, okay, you do this, step by step. You need to implement it into a live roll pretty quick. And the studies show that it sticks with you a lot longer when you do it like that.
I think drilling is sometimes, and again, it doesn't have to be super long, like you said, but I do think sometimes it's really helpful for the details. Like, kind of the mechanics of something, but sometimes there's one just little detail that somebody can point out. Roberto's so good about that, about something that a pass or something that I do all the time, that I've been doing for a long time, but then he'll teach it, and it's one little thing that I'm like, oh, I don't normally do that, and it makes a difference. I feel like that can come in handy versus you might figure out how to do the general technique in a CLA game. But sometimes those little details can come into play when you're drilling a technique.
So this is...
Wait, I wasn't done.
Okay. Well, I don't go ahead. I don't want... Just help me remember so I can respond to that. If you continue for too long, I'll forget.
No, I don't. It won't be long. I just wanted to say, and it was... You kind of touched on it already about your opinion about drilling and CLA, that, there are probably 3 real camps of thought on this, and we've talked about it before, and some who are just like solely drilling, and that's the best way to learn. There are some who are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum and only do CLA, and we have a previous episode that we've done with the Vasquez brothers. If you're interested in hearing about that, it was very, very interesting to talk with them about that perspective and that strategy behind their teaching, because they do not drill at all. They do 100% CLA. Weslee falls somewhere in the middle where there's benefits to both.
I lean about 3/4 CLA, quarter drilling.
Yeah,
that's about where I stand.
There's benefits to both, and with CLA, it has to be done very thoughtfully and mindfully, or you don't get anything out of it. It's very easy to create a game, and this is me, I guess, kind of plugging your Instagram page that I haven't even accepted. I think you followed me earlier, and I haven't even followed you yet. But what I'm sure it's going to be, it's very easy to create a CLA game. It's not very easy to create an effective.
Okay, I was like, where are you going with this? Because it's not easy to create a CLA game.
No. It's easy to say, oh, this is what you're going to do. But it is difficult to create a game that is truly effective, that allows people to learn. Like, if anybody's done CLA games before, there are ones that you do and you're like, this doesn't work for whatever reason, or I'm not learning what I'm supposed to be learning out of this. And you can tell when you're doing it if this is helpful and I'm getting something out of this, or this doesn't work,
I think.
So what?
Wait, I already forgot my last thought that I was going to say.
You didn't need to say it anyways.
Oh my God. Hurry up, girl.
So yeah, I think you land where drilling has its place and CLA has its place, but it's very important that it's done the right way. And I think that is what this new page is that you're talking about, because you've been doing a lot of teaching with this.
And learning, not just, I wasn't doing it the most efficient way in the beginning, but I kind of view that, I think the most common mistake I see with it, or I wouldn't even say it's a mistake, I just think the way that you get the least amount of skill out of is if you make the game like a one-way street where this car goes this way and the other car comes this way. You only have one route to go.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to put a roadblock up to that.
Yep.
So if I let's just super basic. If and a lot of people too, they say, people who are like heavy in the CLA, you're not supposed to show the defense first and then show the offense. It's not how you should do the CLA. You're not really doing CLA anymore. It's not the same thing. That's more situational. They're different. And that's where I think the nuance is where you have to understand the differences between them. But if for instance, you show, this is how you do an X stroke. Okay, this is how you defend an X stroke. All right, now your job is you have to X choke them.
And you're going to try to defend it.
If you X choke them, you win. That's not how the game works, okay?
Yeah.
Now, let's take it away.
Because for the record, nobody's gonna win that. The person trying the X choke is never gonna get it, because the person defending it knows they're going for an X choke and knows how to defend it. So someone's trying an X choke, someone's defending it. Nobody's winning and nobody's learning anything out of that.
I'm not gonna say the correct way, because I think there's several different ways you can do CLA games. I think there's an optimal way, and what I have experienced, this is from my own experience and my studies, like watching videos, and what studies show, is that you start the person deep in the position. I don't care if they've never learned what single leg X is. I don't care if they've never learned what X guard, what an X choke is, what an arm bar is. That does not matter. When you put a person in it deep and you give them small goals that are important to that position, and you put them in it over and over again, they will gravitate, especially when they find that position in a roll, they will gravitate to all those things that were advantageous to when they're in that position. Off balances, submissions, anything like that, So, for instance, if I were to do a game where I wanted the kids to start understanding single leg X, I would, especially if I could put a brand new white belt and do this. I could teach a brand new white belt without ever teaching a step-by-step technique, how to sweep from single leg X. And it would stick in his mind a lot longer, and it would allow the person to explore. So what I would do is I wouldn't even call it single leg X. I'm going to say you're going to put the person, make them stand right over you. You're going to put one shin underneath their butt with your foot hooking their butt, and you're going to throw your other leg. And I might even have to put them in the position, but I only have to usually put them in the position once.
Yeah.
And I've tested this theory, and maybe twice to help them. But as soon as they do it a couple times, it feels natural to them now because they've been in it. So then I run the timer and I have a game. I might say, I'll give rules. And the rules help them keep the position. They don't realize that because I didn't give them a step by step, but the rules help them be strong at the position. So in single leg X, I say make sure you stay attached to your partner's leg above the knee. If you go below the knee, you lose the game. And maybe I'll say something like, you have to keep this foot more attached up on the hip. Don't let them peel it off. If they can peel it off and get their chest to your chest, they win. And then the bottom player, I'll say your job is to make them touch their hands as many times as you can. You can only use one hand for this game. Or maybe I'll give them two, or maybe it just depends on what skill I'm trying to build. Maybe the top player, their only job is to not touch their hands on the mat. Sometimes I'll ask the kids, what skill do you think we're building right here? And I want them, and I do that because I want them to explore, like why, like think through these games and what they're building.
What am I learning out of this? What is the point?
So and when they roll too, they like recognize, oh, look at my balance. Like that's what that game builds. It builds your ability to maintain balance whenever you're in somebody's single leg X. So, and then and that's what's nice about these games. You can scale them. So if I have several, which we do, we have several students in the class that are higher level than some of the other students, and I'll go over to their group and I'll say, look, y'all's goal is a little bit different, okay? You're allowed to switch because they know these words. I don't have to use like white belt with 0 terms, you know? They have now learned what single leg X and X guard is. I'll say, look, you're allowed to now switch from single leg X to X guard, and your number one goal is to drop their far knee to the ground and get a double pant grip. That's how you win the game. You get there, and that right there, we are now encompassing that entire skill, because if you know anything about X guard and single leg X, it's really strong if you can get that far pant grip and have double pant grips. There's a lot you can do from there. But the first battle, if I want to teach a specific sweep with double pant grips, if you can't even get to that leg, you'll never be able to work it. And that's why CLA is so strong, I feel like, because it works breaks down moments to build a skill instead of being so broad. You know, and I actually think, and I've said this to you before, and I think CLA it actually shows how good it is even more with brand new, straight off the street, white belt, never done a class before in their life. I think it is the best for them.
We're reading each other's minds today, Weslee.
I know.
We're right here.
I mean, 15 years of marriage. You about to poke me in the eyes.
I'm seeing how this is going to go through the camera. That's how in it we are. Because this is the second time that I was about to say something, and then you said it, and I was like, dang, that's what I was going to say. And I've even noticed that, especially you probably have seen it in different contexts, but because Weslee tends to teach more of the competition kids classes. So kids who have more experience, and he's really, drilling down on more complex techniques and things like that. Whereas I'm more on like the rec side, or our up and comer kids, our younger kiddos, or brand new kids. And that's one thing I've noticed, like when it comes time to rolls, if it's a brand new person, like they don't even have a gi yet, brand new trial class kid, you're obviously not going to be like, here, I'm going to put you with this other child and y'all try and beat each other up, because they don't know anything. But when you have like a couple of brand new kids like that, and you can do something as simple as saying, one, you're going to be on the ground and your feet up, and your goal is do not let them get past your legs. And your goal is get past your legs and get a chest-to-chest connection. That's all you have to do. They don't understand that that's a guard. They don't know about passing. They don't know any techniques to do that. But you can say, you can, grab their pants. You can grab their arms. You can put your feet up on them. If you're the one passing, you can grab grips. You can grab their feet. You can go in between. You can go around. Whatever you need to do, you just need to get past their legs, get a chest-to-chest connection, and you win. And they can sit there and do that, and basically roll and find things and learn things and do something that is jujitsu and effective without being taught anything at all, and it feels like they're still learning something and actually getting to do somewhat of a role, without having any knowledge at all, and even really knowing what they're doing or what their objective is, because they have one itty bitty tiny objective without knowing the more broad objectives of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no, I think that that it works really, really well. I think Tracy and Roberto are trying to implement it and use it more. I think like they're doing the same thing that I've been doing in a sense. I feel like I haven't like specifically talked to them, but it's like a learning process, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and when you utilize a new type of training, there's some like, that didn't work. Oh, that worked. Okay, let's go down that road a little bit more. And I feel like I use that with the kids a lot. And so now I feel like I'm on this role right now of what kind of understanding it even more and more. I feel like I've gotten, not tooting my own horn or anything, but I feel confident in the games that I make now. Like I understand a lot better than I did in the beginning. Of like, not to like make it. It's you really they say, and I kind of float on this line to not build an eco game around a tech like.
Around
I don't know how to put it exactly, because you can build it around the technique, but not with the intent of learning one singular technique. It's hard to explain because I'm going to give an example. I have, there's some of the whole comp class, but there's a couple of white belts in there, but they've been doing it for a little while, close to gray white. And I taught them how to leg weave pass, and taught them how to leg weave pass and chain it to baseball slide. Okay, and all I did is I did exactly what I was talking about earlier, where you start them in the position deep. So I put them in a leg weave, like all the way, smashed, knees down. I didn't give any instruction on step-by-step. I didn't tell them what this was called, nothing. I put them in a leg weave pass, and I gave them goals. At first, the goal was to maintain the position. Like, just keep their legs smashed together. You're not passing, you're not escaping leg, you're not pummeling, nothing. I gave the bottom person a goal. Get your feet back in front of your partner. If you do that, or you lock them in a half guard, close guard, you win. And then from there, I like watched what they were struggling with. I adjusted the game. And the way my games usually work is each time you win, you switch top bottom. We do like a 5-minute round or a 6-minute round. And then I progress the game. I scale it off. So then the next thing I might do is I might start them from headquarters, or I might put them in the knee cup position, and I'll say like pass, or not pass, but try to maintain this underhook, and you're allowed to float between knee between your legs and stapling the leg. Your job is to maintain that space right there. Okay, and then the next game might be, your job is to start from headquarters. You pick. You now have an avenue to staple the leg here, or if you can essentially leg weave, and you can hold your partner for 3 seconds, you win. And then I just continue progressing the game.
Yeah.
And then I'm literally that day and continuously since then, especially I think body types make a big difference too. It's like a certain type of kid, body type, height, whatever. They just seem to gravitate towards leg weave pass, and I see them do it more than like another kid who might be more of an outside passer. They just gravitate towards those when I teach those. So, and again, never taught a step-by-step. Now, this is where I differ from some CLA like heavy guys, and they'll like never use the wording for it.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think we're in jiu-jitsu, and like I want to be able to use coaching terms that are jiu-jitsu familiar. So, and like if they ever have another coach that's coaching them and I'm not there, or whatever, they need to know what these names are.
Know what things are called.
Yeah, so like I teach them this is a leg weave pass, what knee cut passes, headquarters.
Not only that, just straight up coaching. Like when you're in a tournament, what do you yell out when you
remember CLA game leg smash?
Like how do you if you and the person you're coaching don't have the same like language that you're operating from, that can be very confusing. So.
But I mean, I think there's like and I thought the same thing whenever I first heard about CLA. I thought it was dumb. Then I started doing more research. Then I started practicing it. Then the big thing is experiencing it. So I kind of segue into the probably last portion of what we got left is I've been helping with the Nogi class. And I've been doing strictly CLA. And you can do CLA with anything. Like you can do CLA with any position. You can do it with leg locks. You can do it with front head lock. I mean, anything in jiu-jitsu, close guard, whatever. You can do CLA and build your skill there. And so all my classes, and I've been pumping it up. I've been like knocking on everybody's door. Even if you don't go to our gym, like, come over and let's fill the gym up. Let's train together. Come experience the class. And I want to make it fun. It's a short amount of time, and that's why I just want to make it fun so people can get in there and then they feel like they learn something and want to talk about it and more people want to come. Yeah. So I've been getting my feet wet with the adults.
I was going to say, and you can keep going, but I was just going to say that most of what Weslee teaches and all of this that he's talking about is kids classes. But if you are listening and you are an adult who's like, I'm interested, like I'm just curious about what that's like, or you want to like experience it, he's doing this no-gi class right now, so that's a good opportunity to just come check it out.
And a big reason why I want to talk about it and why I've made an Instagram page is because I've had a lot of friends reach out to me about it. Friends from different gyms message me on Instagram, talk to me in person, and then some of y'all haven't gotten back to, so I'm sorry. I like told y'all I was gonna send y'all some stuff and I haven't.
He said, "Hold on, I'm filming a podcast episode about this."
And it'll be on my Instagram page. I hope that's the plan. So, but I just wanted to like talk more about it, make more dialogue about it, and more people are jumping on the bandwagon. I think everybody has their own flavor of CLA. Like for instance, Kyle over at Flux, he did a really cool game today. I won't say actually really liked. He does the games. I like a lot of the games that he does. Very practical. I'm going to use that one at our gym. Probably the exact same one, but make some modifications to it just to look for different skills. But he did one today I really liked where it was like simple too. I'm like, man, how have I not thought about that? That's perfect. You stand in front of the partner. You just start with pant grips, and the bottom person's job is to recover their guard. The top player's job is to essentially keep their feet off of you. Like it's like a sticky feet game, but it's not. A lot of times when I do this game, I'll say, I'll give the top player a goal as well, where their job is to step out, put the opponent's legs to the outside of your legs, step 1 foot in their legs, and then get to the other side, feet on the outside. So it gives the bottom player some more opportunity to find those, like a true passing player would be instead of just a person who's defending on top.
Yeah.
But that also worked really well. But I don't usually do double pant grip, but you can like modify that, and this is how I'm gonna do the same game. I'll probably do that one first, and the next game is gonna be your job is to force them to hold your weight with their hands. Like you're doing a Toriano pass, you're on left and right. The key, and especially when the guys I've studied who are really good at Toriano pass, when they talk about anytime you've taken someone from framing where they're just like throwing their legs in and stuff, and you're in a pressure style pass and dropping all your weight, and they've gone from to here, just all at this point, like you're like 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah.
And I want them to elicit that reaction. Get you with that, and give them a goal or a rule. You can't drop your knees to the ground. You have to keep your feet on the ground, because if you drop your knees, all your weight goes to the ground.
Yeah.
And in doing so, making that a rule, they will learn that this is like I have to drive my shoulder weight into my partner. Once your partner puts their hands on you to hold your weight off you, then you can let go and you can grab and finish the pass or pressure him. So I'm gonna play around with that game and see how it goes in the coming weeks. But I really liked that was a good game for guard retention, especially.
Is your Instagram page is it gonna be like games that you have?
I want to have some dialogue, conversation, just like interview myself, essentially talking about thoughts on stuff like with CLA wise. But it's mostly gonna be like examples with me talking in the background, like of giving
what the goals are. And this is the game.
And it's
so
also,
if anybody's like interested or like, I'm curious about that, but I don't really know how I would go about doing that, then a resource essentially for people to use to find some ways to find some games that you've done that have worked, because you get to kind of see in real time if they're effective.
And that's the thing about games, like me doing what I'm going to do with Kyle's game. They're all modifiable.
Yeah.
And they should be, because
they should be.
You can be broad to a broad audience, or you can hone in on a individual's skill that they need to work on.
If they can't be modified, it's probably not a great game, because like you said, that you usually watch it and then depending on what you're seeing, you're like, okay, we're going to change a rule because this is what I'm seeing from a lot of you.
But yeah, the Instagram handle, it's like I have nothing up yet. I've just barely created a bio for it and put a profile picture up there. But if you're interested, it is drill_less_jiu-jitsu. So check it out, follow it. That'd be awesome if you're interested at all. But there's a lot of ecological pages out. I mean, I say there's a lot. There's not a lot. That's why I'm kind of doing this, because there's not a lot. There's 5 or 6. I feel like that are that I found that are solid.
Yeah.
And so I'm I feel confident enough that I feel like I've had games that work, and there's not enough people on the bandwagon right now that I feel like maybe I can be helpful to somebody,
Yeah,
like
for
people
sure.
who are trying this out. Because, and like I said, I don't think there's like drilling is wrong at all. Like it is important. I drill myself
He
at the
drills
house.
a lot.
The girls drill, Dax drills, but I just think that at a certain point, it's you're like, and I watched a lot of Greg Saunders, and made a good point. At a certain point, it's almost like, especially when you're doing speed, it's cardio less than it is skill. You know what I mean? And I also, on another front, like I'll ask you, why do you think purple belts? Why is there a stigma behind purple belts? I don't know if I've talked about this before, so you may give me the answer. Okay, you know how when it's purple belts, they notoriously always miss warm-ups
miss
or
warm-ups
technique, and they're just there to roll, right? What are your thoughts on that? I'm curious. But don't say what you think I'm going to say. I just want your true answer.
I think that they probably feel like, so generally speaking, I think it's probably tricky for an instructor to do a class for adults of all different levels. You got brand new white belts in there, all the way up to brown and black belts, and that's difficult. And so I think I would assume it gets to a point where it's like, I'm not learning much new from this technique. I'm getting more out of going and rolling with people and putting things into practice. And if you're a purple belt who is really, really wanting to progress in the sport, like Weslee does, he's studying all the time anyway. So he's constantly finding his own things that he's working and new systems that he's trying to put in place that work specifically into his game. And so if you're somebody who's doing that, then honestly, they probably feel like, I'm not going to waste my time to come and learn and drill something that I already know. I'd rather just come and roll, because that's the part that's going to be most effective. And
and efficient for their learning, right?
Yeah.
Especially when they have there's also a stigma of purple belt to know everything, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm sure you can watch this and be a black belt and think, there's another purple belt who thinks he freaking knows everything. Trust me, I don't. I'm learning every day, and I'm just trying to be better tomorrow than I think about this a lot, because me and my cousin, we want to open our own gym one day. And his gym is 100% CLA. They only do CLA. We do some CLA at our gym. And I think I want to mix, and I've talked to him about it, and I haven't talked to him a lot about what I kind of think is the best idea, but obviously whatever opinions he has too, we'll take those into consideration, and we'll talk about it and figure out what the best schedule is. But I think something like a mix of I like the idea or the thought I want to try out. You put the person live in the situation, you do a CLA right off the bat, you do 2 or 3 games with no instruction, no technique. Then at the end of the first 2 games, maybe, you show the details you're talking about.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I'm watching. Don't say nothing during the games. You just have to watch. You cannot say nothing. You just let them.
You gotta let people
them make their mistakes. It's okay. And then you go back and look. Traditionally, if you don't want to show any technique and you just want to do CLA, you have to then mold the game based off the mistakes you see. If you're doing a choke and no one's getting deep enough, you got to make a goal to make them get deep enough. Or maybe they're not cutting the angle correctly, or maybe they're not setting up the person to pull their arm through correctly.
Yeah.
Everyone's mistake is different, especially based off body type. Some people can't do a berimbolo, because they can't get upside down. You got to modify it for them. But then you could I do think there are some details and things that are pretty applicable across the board. You know what I mean? You could teach some details after the first 2, and then let's see how the class adjusts to the details. See if it starts to hit faster.
Yeah.
But one thing is extremely important with CLA, I think, is making sure that I want, at least in the students I have eventually, for them to explore. I want them to be able to explore the space and not just be stuck on a step-by-step whatever.
Yeah.
Because you think about
one thing goes wrong, and then the whole thing falls apart.
Right. And they don't know what to do if that happens, right?
Yeah.
But if, let's say, for instance, a black belt, and I feel like I've asked black belts about this before. I feel like as a purple belt, I've started to see this personally myself and the things that I am better at in my game, where I discover things and avenues that I just like found because I understand how the positions work and
Yeah.
flow, and I was never taught it. I never studied it. But I'm like, oh, I see an entry to a saddle that like because I recognize this position so well and where my leg is supposed to lace through.
Yeah.
I've never been taught how to get there, but I just got it from this like random position, right? And I think that when you first start, there's not a lot of creativity. It's just like I do robot movements, whatever I was taught, and I try to mimic exactly what I memorize, you know, and it's a memory contest.
Yes.
So I think that's an important part to maintain. So I would tell my students, like, look, I obviously showed you these details, and I do this in my class, in the Noogie class, but adjust as needed. If you feel like I'm showing you something and like, I don't say this, but like you can't because you just don't have the flexibility to set up correctly like I'm showing you, it should then try XYZ, you know, I'll say that or whatever, adjust.
I appreciated that in the class that you did. Just pointing it out that and acknowledging that like there are different body types and different things that are going to work for different people. And I mean, it's not maybe exactly the same, but you know, like I was just talking about earlier when we talked about Euros, like my division that I fight in and yours are very different. You know, you've got small, very fast people. I've got bigger people, but I mean, a lot of like pressure passing and top players and that kind of thing. Not as much guard players and not as much speed. It's just totally, it's a different fight. I fight a different fight than you fight when we step on the mats at a tournament, you know, and just acknowledging that, that sometimes body types make fights.
Yeah.
And that's fair. It's fair to be like, yes, this is a technique and this works, but you may find that XYZ doesn't work as well for you. And you might find this other thing that it's like, dang, that worked really, really well for you, you know? And that's perfectly okay. But it's not always acknowledged across the board. So I really appreciated that you just made it a point to say, different body types, you know, this may or may not work for you, you know?
Yeah, there's a quote
from
Greg Saunders that says, there's no right way to do anything. There's no right way to do a technique. There's only what works. If it works, it's right.
Which is a very drastic approach.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily
I don't agree with that entirely.
Yeah, and that's where I stand as well.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, in the moment, for what you discovered would work in that moment, that was what was right for the situation that you saw a solution to that problem. If it worked, you got on top. You know, that's not to say there's not a better way in some instances, and that's why you curate and change these games, and you go back to the drawing board after a competition. Yeah. Right, and say, hey, we can make this better. Let me change the game a little bit.
Well, and I think to your point, like, I think that's where when I was talking about like drilling, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be straight up drilling, but that's where coaching and like there's room to let people find things. And sometimes there's space for that. And then there's also a space where you step in and say, hey, let me show this to you. And sometimes it's just that, like you're finding something, but technically, if you do this, that's more correct and it's going to be more effective because that's the correct way to do it. And sometimes once they find it and then you just give them that one little detail and like that's the one thing they need, that it's like, oh my gosh, that's solid.
You know, that's important because there's some people who do only CLA and I see the mistakes they make and it's like, they don't recognize them, but then I expose them really fast because it was something that's like...
It's such a small thing.
Yeah,
it's like, why did nobody ever tell you this one little thing that's so wrong, you know?
Yeah. But so that's why I think I don't know. It's a mixture. It's why I stand in the 75-25 range. Maybe it's a little closer to like 35% drilling or something like that. But, you know, it's... I just think a little less drilling than what traditional most gyms do, you know?
Well, I think too, and again, I mean, some of it's drilling and some of it is just almost coaching. Like how much do you show them what to do versus putting them in a position, let them find
Instructing versus coaching is different. Because it's like, it's mentally demanding to coach during CLA because you have to like be watching everybody.
There's a million people.
And you're paying attention to... That's the only time it gets hard is whenever you have a big class and a lot of different levels, then it's hard because you have to scale the game for each different level. What I tell the people in my no-gi class is I say, try if you can, and we're not a requirement, try if you can to get someone with your size and belt rank. If not, I can scale the game for you. And I've done that before. And I'll do that in the middle of class. Like I'll put everybody together, but then maybe there's a blue belt going with a white belt. I'll take some things away from the blue belt that makes it harder for him, but it's still working on specific skills. And it makes it a little easier for the white belt to do whatever he's trying to do, you know. But the white belt's still working the skills, you know.
Well, one thing I was going to say too that you did in one of the no-gi classes that I thought was helpful was starting with the CLA and letting people do it and watching and then seeing what people were struggling with and people asking questions. Like there was something that you were like, I had 3 people say, okay, I keep running into this. What do I do? And then you showed a couple of things that they can do.
Are you talking about the armbar game?
No.
Oh, you weren't there for that one. The armbar game was awesome.
Oh no, I think maybe it was armbar related. It was, yeah.
Where
and
I put the
people kept stacking.
Yes.
Everybody kept. They were like,
I gotta share that
I
game.
was one that I asked. It was like, well, we're doing great, but I can't. You told me I can't throw my leg over, but then they're stacking me, and so what do I do? And so you created a game. People are doing it, but
I love
then
that game.
as you watch and you see, okay, this is something common that people are struggling with. And then you basically showed 2 techniques and said, these are 2 different techniques.
But we didn't drill it step by step.
We didn't drill it.
I just showed, and then and then based off the person's abilities, they attempted it.
These are a couple of options that you can do.
Because one of the options I showed, I straight up said, like, some of y'all won't be able to do this. Like, you're not flexible enough, you're not small enough, you're not going to spin under what I just showed, but some of you will be able to do it. And I actually want to share that game because that was one of my most proud games because I've been trying to figure out for a while how I can get someone. Like, you have to ask yourself, what skill are we struggling with? Okay, a lot of especially white belts, they struggle with following a belly down armbar.
Yeah,
and I said, not only do they struggle with it, I want them to learn it. How do I get them to recognize they need to follow the elbow when someone, you know, like let's say they remove your leg over the head and they sit up, and how you like follow the arm and roll through to where you're like belly down facing their feet, so on and so on.
Yeah.
So first I did a traditional game that like a lot of CLA people start with, especially in beginners classes, where your job is pretty much to break the connections. You start in an armbar position, like where you're trying to break the grips apart, and I gave them one goal is, or some things to focus on. Focus on the direction of your partner's hips. So I gave like maybe you could grab a leg because if they have hip mobility, they can start to stack you. If the defending player puts you on your back, you lost. If they escaped their elbow line, they lost. If the top player broke the connection for like 3 seconds, I don't even know if I gave it time for that one, then they win. So their job was to break the connections and fight, but also maintain those other 2 things. Don't let your back hit the ground, don't let the elbow slip, so stay really close to the arm and control the hips. Try to keep the legs facing you. Started that off with that so everybody could get used to like dealing with the arm, knowing what the arm feels like and blah, blah, blah. Then I started the game in the same manner. The only thing I did was a traditional armbar position, person on their back, legs over the body and the head. Then I thought about this too before. I was like workshopping it up here in the mat room before class that night. And I decided I'm gonna have them put their foot, that's the one that's over their head, behind the neck. Glue their foot to the back of the neck. I said, you are only allowed to keep this here. You are not allowed to put it in the front of their head at all. Okay? And that immediately facilitated the ability for the person to come up. I didn't have to even say anything. And everybody started coming up, and there was several. The way I expected them to come up was to find the belly down armbar where they come up and you have to follow it or whatever in a different fashion. And what happened was a different fashion. It happened in a different way where they started stacking you, right? And that started happening a lot more, which is a surprise to me because I feel like that's actually, for me, when I fight, least common. People try to stack me.
See, but you talk about fights, right?
Yeah.
I was the first one who did it to my partner, and he made a comment like, well, I don't know what to do with this.
Yep.
And then he started doing it to me
Yep,
because
yep.
I did it. But again, it's body types. That pressure, passing, and that kind of thing. I'm going to stack you in my division.
For
You
sure.
know, that's very, very
My
common
weight's
for
not
me.
going to do as much,
For
and
you,
it's a lot
that
easier for guys to
it's not as common.
weasel out. So, and I showed 2 things. The 2 things I showed, because D actually asked me, is like my partner, was Marcelo was doing that to D, or vice versa. And I was like, okay, well, look, here's a couple options. And this is where you have to kind of know what you're talking about. Like, you can't be a white belt trying to do CLA, a blue belt. You got to know what you're talking about? You could be a high level blue belt, maybe. But anyways, so I had him in the armbar position. I was getting stacked, and the two options I showed is you can spin towards the legs all the way through to the opposite side, which is a belly down armbar. You'd spin to the belly down armbar on the other side, or you can be in the armbar position, grab the far leg, not the close one, and then stretch your legs. The person's their leg is stuck, so they essentially trip and they fall back down to the armbar position.
Yeah.
But the whole time you have to maintain your foot behind their head. Yeah. And I'm just looking over at all the people doing it, and I'm watching white belts roll with the arm all the way through. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I was looking for.
Yep.
Yep.
That's another thing too that you didn't have to show, but like just as an example, that would be an easy one too, to give a little bit of a detail on the technique that would help. Like if somebody's rolling through and going for the belly down armbar, but they're not turning all the way so that they're facing nose to toes is what we say. Like that would be a really easy detail to say, like, you're right there, but you need to turn through all the way and get your nose to toes and be facing that direction. And that's what's really going to like lock it in. They could find that position, but not realize that getting to that point is what's really gonna like lock
what
it in.
I
and
do
help
in
them
those
finish
instances, I will talk about. I'll tell the details. I just don't have them drill the details because and even then you can still. It just depends on what kind of time crunch you're in. How many can you do another game? Do you want to do another game? Is whatever. I could literally make a game that corrected that exact thing that you're struggling with, and not ever tell you anything or have you. Really not about not telling you anything. It's about not having you drill it.
Yeah.
I can show it, but then I can also just make the game be you only win when your nose is facing the toes, and the elbow is connected to your hip.
For sure.
And also language is very important. How you word things. It needs to be as short as possible, with getting your message across as cleanly as possible. So, it's really like, that's one thing I feel like the CLA guys actually don't do a good job at. Like the guy, like Greg Saunders, I feel like they make things
so wordy.
It's not wordy, like where it's long. They make it short, but they use really big words that are like overcomplicated for like destabilization.
Oh.
They say like, look, I know what destabilization is, but like we have all walks of life that come into the gym. And that or when you're teaching to a kid too.
You got 8-year-olds. You got 7 and 8-year-olds.
Well, I mean, also adults too, though. I mean, even adults, like destabilization. Okay, so like you're saying off balance. Why didn't you just say off balance? Well, yeah, you're right. I could have just said off balance. That's just easier. It's friendlier to people who are not in this the world of jiu-jitsu. I don't know. So that's where I feel like they struggle. But you kind of have to. Each gym has their own language, just like every gym has their own wording for each technique. You know what I mean?
That's the truth.
Yeah. So
we got lots of weird things in our gym, primarily with the kiddos that that we call things, but they know what it is. If you call it what an adult would call it, they would look at you with a very confused face.
Some of the techniques that the adults use, like I mean, across the board, like with the muscle sweep versus the waiter sweep. I think our gym that I know of is the only gym I've ever been to that calls the waiter sweep, where you put your hand on the mat and like you're holding a waiter's plate. Other places call it the waiter sweep. I mean the muscle sweep. But then there's other stuff too. Like what does Dylan tell me? Pulling guard. He thought that, I can't remember, but I think the first time I said I play a lot of guard, he thought that I meant close guard. But I meant like playing open guard or something. I don't know. Like I don't remember.
There was something unique enough about the way that y'all worded it that was not clear.
This is not what they call it over there. Yeah. So, but yeah. So and that's kind of what I've been doing at the gym, is a lot of the CLA with the adults and stuff like that, and just kind of especially trying to get my feet wet with teaching the adults class and stretching those muscles, stuff like that. But
it's been going well.
It's been going good. So that's a plug for anybody wants to come try out the class. Do a trial,
Thursday
then join
nights,
our gym. Yeah,
you
Thursday,
get
7:30.
three free trials if you're not a part of the gym, and if you train somewhere else and want to just come cross train. It'll be fun. Thursday nights, 7:30.
Yep, and we're right across from Central.
Indeed. We should probably wrap this up because we've been talking for a very long time. Before we go off, I will say plugs for everything. Please follow us on wherever you listen to podcasts, Instagram at Weslee Weighs In, TikTok at Weslee Weighs In, and you can follow Weslee's new CLA page, drill_less_jiu-jitsu. Yeah, give us a like and a follow. Comments, any engagement is always so helpful to us. We appreciate
Please do it.
all of you. And that's all we got.
All right. I'm Weslee.
And I'm Bailey.
And that is the Weslee Weighs In podcast. Later, guys.